Hey guys, you're watching Refract Academy, and in this video, I'll walk you through some of the more advanced setups you can do on the CT side of overpass in order to gain map control, in order to disturb the opponents, and in general, the whole point of this is to make you guys better Counter-Strike players on the CT side of overpass. So make sure to watch through this video, as I'm sure there'll be a couple of things in here that you probably didn't know and or that I'll remind you about. Let's dive into it, shall we? So as we already established, the basic thing you do when you're playing CT side overpass is having 2 players towards A and 3 players towards B. Now you can change that and have 3A, 2B, and maybe even 4B, 1A. I'll dive into that a little bit later. So I want to throw you a couple of very important utility pieces you need to know out of CT spawn in order to help the defense on B, in order to help the aggression you can do on the A bomb side. The first one is the classic monster smoke from CT spawn. You basically go into this position as you know it. Instead of crouch jump throwing, you just jump throwing normally like this, aiming at that position. That's going to be the smoke landing monster right here instantly. So if there's a rush coming over here, well, guess what? That's going to be smoked off already. It's a great way of at least making the B rush less impactful, and sometimes it even scares the T's of even doing it throughout an entire game. So that's a very cool smoke, one you need to know. Another one is a new one that is being used a bit more in the meta, where you aim on the pole right here, you start running, and you throw the second you hit the top of the yellow point of the van right here, and that's going to be the instant smoke deep in towards T connector like this. It will land roughly around the same time as the T's can come out, but it can spread them up. So if one guy goes through the smoke but the other one does not, and he's all of a sudden in this open position where he's exposed to flashes, molotovs, nades, well, all of a sudden you can be aggressive on towards A. And that's what I want to start off by showing. Let's imagine that you have 2 players, the 2 A players going aggressive on A. You have one of the B players, it could be the rotator. He's gonna throw the smoke as I just shown you. You have the 2 A players, they'll be in around this position right here, right now. One of the guys is gonna stand ready with a flash right here. The other guy is gonna run up close, that could be the rifle. So you have a smoke deep right here. You have a guy standing ready with a flash right here. And as soon as he's throwing the flash, you're gonna come around the corner and you're gonna fight this area. Because again, maybe the T side will decide to stand behind the smoke. That means you have a lot of map control. Or the T side will be forced to go up right here and could be caught in a position right here where the flash is coming in. But guess what? He's mega blind and the guy can peek up and get a very favorable duel. So that's a way of playing aggressive towards middle. Throw the deep smoke like that, have a guy going up close and have a guy flashing for him. And of course, again, timing is everything. Peek out on the flash and go. You can also do that right here where you throw the smoke, but you mask it. So again, you have the rotation player on B. He's gonna throw the smoke right here. But your 2 A players are now doing an A setup. So what could happen is that the T player decides that, okay, I'm not gonna go up and go towards the right side over here, right? I'm just gonna push up the smoke and I'm gonna go safely in here. Now he thinks that you're pushing balloons. He thinks you're gonna push middle. So maybe he's a little bit focused towards over here, but again, in a very open position. And he's also a bit afraid of you standing balloons. So there'll be a time where he's gonna clear this where the focus is not towards this area. And again, what you do is you have one guy standing ready with a flash right here. You have a guy standing ready to peek around the corner. So what happens is that this guy will flash, could be something like this. Once that flash is coming out like this, you're gonna peek out and again, you're gonna fight now playground. So these flash setups that is initiated by the smoke is a great way of being aggressive on the A bomb side. You can even, if you want to, just to add an extra layer, say that this is one of the rounds where the B players are then playing for themselves. There's only 2 B because this guy is gonna come A and he's gonna hide in toilets. So let's say that you're not successful with your aggressive push. Well, there's a 3rd guy right here. So if the T side think that, hey, we killed both of the A players, we're gonna rush up to a free A side. Well, guess what? This guy gambled and he's already over here. Again, this is where this player comes into play because he can be a backup. He can even stand over here and throw flashes for the B bomb side. So let's say they're rushing B and they caught you on it. He can now help. So they're coming out monster. There's only 2 B players. Well, look at this flash coming out right here. It's gonna completely blind the guys coming up right here. So this player essentially in this setup, once you're the rotator, is the utility player. He's the backup element. You can flash over here. You can flash for your mates. You can help them fall back. You have to read the game. You have to rotate around. So that's a way of being aggressive. That's a way of forcing the T side to be very careful when they take map control. Now you can also be aggressive towards B and take map control on the B bomb side. You want to place 4 players towards B. You have 1 player towards A. That could be the AWP. He's just going to hold the angles, fall back, hold angles, fall back, get information, and of course communicate with the teammates. Or B, you have 1 guy instantly smoking monster like we know. You have 2 guys as fast as they can. They're running out from CT spawn. They want to take short. That's the whole play right here. First guy, best spawns come down right here. He's going to throw this classic Molotov. You basically just come out like this. You're aiming at the balconies right here. You're going to throw that Molotov. You have a mate behind you. Cool. So 1, 2 players coming out right here. 3rd guy would be the guy standing up here heaven. He's going to flash them out short. So in case they're running through the Molotov, there's going to be a flash out here. And he's also going to stand ready with this nade. So what happens is that, let's just procast that we do it. We have the 2 players coming out of CT spawn right here. One of them is throwing this Molotov. There are now 2 guys running out short. They want to be aggressive. They want to fight. A flash comes in from heaven. The one I just showed you right here, just to make sure. So once that flash is coming in, I'll just throw it one more time. Boom, you come out right here. You peek. And all of a sudden, sudden you have short control. What you can do then, the second player who haven't used the smoke already can put a smoke in towards short like that, and all of a sudden you now control this area completely. You want to add another layer, you can just stand here and hold it if you want to, but a cool thing to do is that you have a player walking up into this position, and then you have your fourth guy coming up heaven. He's gonna stand right here with a grenade. He's gonna nade the door. The second he grenades the door, that's when the two players in short are peeking out right here. So all of a sudden, you don't only take short control, but you're also aggressing in towards connector, and you're constantly trying to disturb the T side where they can move, where they can rotate. And if you don't see anything, you may as well walk in. You may as well see if you can control this entire area. Maybe there's no one down here, and all of a sudden, as a CT player, you're deep inside T-spawn. You can now hear if they rotate back and forth between the two bomb sites, because they're not going to rotate between connector, because that's now your control, right? So you have all the intel coming up from T-spawn like that. So that's a way of being aggressive towards B. Now, it's important to understand when you have 3 or 4 players towards B, the A player has to be defensive. He has to stay alive. He has to gather information and then call the rotation if needed. Same can be said if 3 players is doing the A play I showed you guys before. Then the 2 B players, I mean, it's very risky if they're playing down here by themselves, because if they die or they just trade 2 for 2, the round is essentially over because you gift up the entire B side. So again, setups could be something like this, where you have a defensive player standing up here, you have another defensive guy standing over here. Maybe you're even doing the classic boost right here, where you boost up a guy standing on a player holding like this. You have a defensive approach, and then you just pray that you call the right stack at the right time. That's essential to understand. As said though, it's a map where you can support each other. So let's say that you have 2 B players, they're playing down in water together right here, and they're coming in B when you're only 2 over here. Well, the rotator player who's stuck right here, he can back up with flashes like this. Same goes on for the A player. Let's say the A player is playing by himself and he's still alone. They're coming up with an A execute. He's being swamped. Well, all the players coming over here, even if you're on the B bomb side, you can flash up like this in order to help a little bit. You can also, when you're coming from CT spawn, flash behind the player like this or flash like that. It's a very, very support heavy map, especially with the utility. So what you need to understand when you're doing this advanced default on overpass is that there is ways of doing aggressive plays. There's ways of taking map control on towards A, ways of playing aggressive on B, but you constantly have to balance it out by constantly being on the move and being ready to reposition, being ready to alter your plans per se, because you may be calling A stack from the beginning of the round, but if the T side decides to go B, you gotta be ready for that as well. So it's essential you understand that concept. One last thing I want to show you, one last thing you can do is the classic connector setup. A lot of people, a lot of the pro teams like to go down here, put down this smoke, and then have 2 guys standing right here. One guy is gonna crouch and another guy is gonna jump on the wanted crouch, and he's now holding this position right here where he can spot out short. It's a nice little way of getting a free kill. Once he gets the first duel, gets the first kill, he's just gonna fall back together, boom, 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 and you go back and you play your 5v4. So there's a lot of different ways you can be aggressive, a lot of different plays, a lot of different ways you can disturb the T side. If I may give you one piece of advice, I'd say is always think about, always trying to be one step ahead. How can we disturb the way the T side is playing? If they watch my basic T side control video, how do we make sure that they don't even get control over toilets area? Well, we're aggressive in connector. We're aggressive up top middle. If it's a team that likes to do default towards B, how do we make sure they don't do that? Well, we're aggressive towards short. We're throwing the Molotov out the barrels. We're flashing out. We're constantly trying to disturb the T side so they never feel safe going anywhere on the map. That's how you play, I would argue, advanced CT side on overpass. That's it. I know there's a lot of different layers to playing the CT side on overpass, and I know this video in itself was quite long compared to some of the others we have, but that's the thing with overpass. There's layers